In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet the raspberry stitch. Really gorgeous, lovely textured stitch. It's a 2-row repeat, but the 2 rows are very similar, and that 2-row repeat starts after a foundation row just to set you up. So really gorgeous, quite a mindful stitch, but just a very, very pretty stitch to work. So let's have a look at the tutorial. So for this tutorial I'm using an Aran or worsted weight yarn. Decided to go with the raspberry colour, it seemed rather appropriate. I have a 5mm crochet hook. You can use any weight yarn you like with a corresponding size hook. I have scissors to cut off my end, a needle to sew in my ends, and a stitch marker just in case I need one. So this stitch is worked in rows, so we're going to make a foundation chain. So make a slip knot in whichever way you prefer. And our foundation chain needs to be made in multiples of even numbers, so any even number. So to do a chain, we yarn over and pull through, that's 1, yarn over, pull through the loop on the hook, 2, 3, 4. So make your foundation chain in even numbers as wide as you would like your piece to be, and I shall see you in a moment. So here's my foundation chain. I've worked 18 chains. And we're going to start row 1 by making a double crochet, that's UK terms, that's single crochet in US, in the second chain from the hook. So we don't count the one on the hook, so 1, 2, going to insert, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. And there's your first double crochet. Going to do a double crochet into the second stitch, so insert, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both. And we're going to put a double crochet UK, single crochet US into every chain back down the row. So this is really just a setup row so that we can work into the double crochets rather than the chains. So work your way down to the very last chain with a double crochet, and I shall see you at the end of the row. So it's coming out to my last stitch of the setup row, so that's my row of double crochets. I'm now going to do row 2, and rows 2 and 3 are the repeating pattern, but they're actually very, very similar. It's just the starts of the rows that are a little bit different. So for row 2 then, we're going to chain 1, we're going to turn our work. The chain 1 does not count, therefore we're going to work into that very first stitch there. And into that stitch we're going to do a double crochet. Now our next stitch is going to be a front post double crochet, so that means we go into what looks like the stitch we've just worked, because we're going to work around the post of this stitch here, the second stitch. So we go into the stitch, we come out behind, go around the post and come out the front again. Then we yarn over, pull through, have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. Now you'd be very careful here because it looks like we haven't worked a stitch, but that stitch actually lies over the next one. So we need to make sure we're going into the next stitch, so if you're looking at it you're skipping a stitch, but actually this stitch lies on top of it. And we're going in there with a double crochet. I'm going to do that one again because my loop got a bit big. So into the next stitch with a double crochet, and then we're going around the next stitch with a front post single, so into the back, out through the front, yarn over and pull through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Remember that's lying over that stitch there, so we don't work into that stitch, we work into the next one with a normal double crochet. And we're going to work all the way down the row, doing a double crochet and then a front post double crochet, double crochet, front post double crochet. and this is why we had to do the setup row, because you couldn't do the front post double crochets around the chains particularly easily. So we're going to have a setup row of double crochets that we can work around. Front post double crochet, and I shall see you at the end of the row. So pause the video now. So just coming up to the end of my row, so I have my front post double crochet, which doesn't want to work, there we go, and then a double crochet into the very last stitch. And that's what your row 2 should look like. For row 3 then, very similar, we chain 1 and we turn. Chain 1 still doesn't count, so we're going to put a double crochet into that very first stitch, remember that's single in US, and a double crochet into the next stitch, which is the top of the front post treble, sorry, front post double, and then we're going to start, so we're sort of staggering our front post, so we do a front post around the next one, and then a double into the top of the front post from the previous row, front post around the next one, and a double in the next stitch, front post around the next one, and a double crochet around the next stitch. So continue this way down to the end of the row, and I shall see you in a moment. So when you come to the last 2 stitches of your row, so the row began with 2 double crochets, we're going to finish with 2 double crochets. So I've just worked my last front post double, and it would be a double in the next stitch and then a front post in the next one, but you'd end up with wonky edges. So we're going to do a double crochet into each of the last 2 stitches on row 3. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back to row 2. The chain 1 doesn't count, therefore we work in the first stitch with a double crochet and a front post treble. No, front post double. Double crochet and a front post all the way to the end, and then we'd repeat row 3, which starts with the 2 double crochets and finishes with the 2 double crochets. So I'm going to work up a few more rows now for you to see how it looks, and I shall see you in a moment. So I've just worked up a couple more rows for you to see how it looks. Really pretty stitch. Obviously the fronts and the backs are slightly different just because the starts and the ends of the row are very slightly different, but it's pretty similar on the reverse. So it just depends which side you prefer to look at. Quite a simple stitch once you get going with it. It's a really nice one to work with. It's quite a mindful stitch. It does take a while to work out because obviously we're working in double crochets all the way through, so it does take a little bit longer to actually see some results, but definitely worth the wait. So if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm do its thing. And if you've enjoyed seeing my little stitch marker, this is the Lazy Lamb stitch marker, which is available on my website and also in my Etsy shop. Lots of stitch markers and haberdashery items there for you to have a look at. And by shopping there, you are supporting this channel and helping me to keep it going. I shall put 2 more videos on the side of the screen over here to help you on your crochet journey, and I shall see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!